Oh hey Vaishnava Thaku Dwara Sagara Egase Karunakuri Diya Parachaya Shoro he amai Tomara charana dhori Chaya bhega dhomi Chaya dosha shori Chaya guna devo dase Chaya satsanga Deho he amae Boshashi Shangarashe Ekaki amar nahi pai bolo Hare Nama Sankirtane Ekaki amar nahi pai bolo Hare Nama Sankirtane Tumi kripa kori Shraddha bindu diya Deho Krishna Nama Dhane Krishna se tomar Krishna dite paro Tomara shakti ache Amito Ganga Krishna Krishna Boli Daitava Pache Pache Amito Ganga Krishna Krishna Boli Daitava Pache Pache Oh hey Vaishnava Thaku Goyara Sagara Vidase Karuna Kori Jaya Vaishnava Thakur Vaishnava Thakur Vaishnava Thakur Jaya Vaishnava Thakur Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada Ujvala Varana Guravara Deva Vilasita Nirabhare Bhava Videra Sevana Pavana Upaya Lesha Tampana Mamicha Shisha Chitandaya Gagarantara Baba Vikara Dujana Sarjana Nada Vishala Bhavapayava Janakaram Nakarunam Kamranamami Cha Shri Sachitanayam Harinam Bharadara Charu Kapolam Indu Vinindita Nakachaya Ruchiram Jalpitan Jaguna Nama Vinodam Tam Pranamami Cha Shri Sachitanayam Vigalitanayana Kamala Jaladara Dushana Navarasa Baba Vikaram Gati Yati Mantara Nitya Vilasam Tam Pranamami Cha Shri Sachitanayam Sachidanand Gaura Hari Ki Jai Chanchala Charu Charana Gati Ruchira Manjira Ranjita Pada Yuga Madhura Go Premanande Haribo Chandra Vinindita Shitala Varana Tam Pranamami Cha Shri Sachitanayam Kati Kati Gora Kamandalu Ganga Divyakalevara Mundita Mundam Durjana Kalmasha Kandana Dandam Tam Pranamami Cha Shri Sachitanayam Bhushana Bhuraja Alaka Valita Kambita Bindara Vararuchiram Malaya Javira Chitta Ujjvala Tilakam Tam Pranamami Cha Shri Sachitanayam Indikaruna Kamala Dalanayana Ajanulam Vitashi Pujatikalam Kalevara Kaishora Nartaka Vesham Tam Pranamami Cha Shri Sachitanayam Ujjvala Varana Varavara Deva Nilasita Niravari Bhava Videha Pavana Kripaya Lesham Shantanamami Cha Shri Sachitanayam Jai Sachitananda Jai Sachitananda Jai Sachitananda Jai Gaura Hari Sachinandana Jai Gaura Hari. Jai Sachinandana Jai Sachinandana Jai Sachinandana Jai Gaura Hari Bol. Hari Bol Jai Gaura Hari Bol. After Vrindavan Mangalarti. Vibhabari Shesha Alata Nijatari Uttajiva Bolo Hari Hari Mukunda Murari Dhammakrishna Hayajiva Drishinga Vamana Shimadhusurana Prajendranandana Shama Putana Katana Kaikavashatana Jai Dasharati Rama Yashoda Dulala Govinda Govinda Vrindavana Purandara Gopi Priyajana Radhika Ramana Bhuvana Sundara Bhara Ravana Katara Makana Kaskara Gopi Jana Vastahari Rajera Rakala Gopa Vrindavana Chittahari Vanshidhari Yogendra Bandhana Shivandana Prajajana Vayahari Navina Nirara Rupa Manohara Mohana Bhamsi Vihari Yashoda Nandana Shimani Surana Nikunjara Sadirasi Karambhakanana Rasaparaya Vrindahina Nivasi Ananda Vardhana Vimani Ulasarajotaka Gohandanana Chitta Vinodana Samasta Gunadhana Dhama Jamuna Jivana Keliparaya Manasa Chanda Chakora Jatsudara Gau Krishna Jasha Rako Vachana Manamora Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Vyasuvacha iti samprashna samrishto vipranam maharshani pratipuja vachastesham pravaktum upachakrame sutuvacha yantravajantam anupetam apeta krityam vaipayano viraha kartara ajuhava Utreti tan mataya taravo binedus tan sarva bhuta hridayam munim anatosmi yasvanubhavam akila shruti saramekam ajatmadhipam atitirshatam tamondam samsarinam garunayaha puranakuyam tam vyasasunumapayami gurun muninam narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim sarasatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet munayak sadhu prishtoham bhavadvir lokamangalam yakrita Krishna samprashno yenatma suprasidati savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktiradhoksaje ahaitu kiya pratiyata yatma suprasidati vasudeve bhagavati bhakti yoga prayojitaha janayat yashu vairagyam jnanam cha yadahaitukam dharma swanushtita pumsam vishvaksena katasuya notpada yedyadiratim shrama eva hi kevalam dharmasya hyapavargasya nartortayopakalpate nartasya dharmaikantasya kamo payahi smritaha kamasya nendriya pritir labo jiveta yavata jivasya tattva jignasya narto yasheha karmabhi vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yat jnanamadvayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdate tashadhatanamunayo jnana vairagya yuktaya paschantyatmani chatmanam bhaktya shruta grihitaya athapumbir dvija shreshta varnashrama vibhagasha swanustistasya dharmasya samsadir haritoshanam tasmadekena manasa bhagavan sattvatam pati shrotavya kirtitavyascha yeya pujascha nityada yad anudyasina yukta karma granti nibandhanam chintanti kovidastasya kona kuryat kataratim shushushoshadadhanasya vasudeva kataruchihi syanmahat sevaya vipra punya tirta nishevanat Shrinvatam swakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana ridyantaksto hyabhadrani vidhunoti suhritsatam nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevayam bhagavatyuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki tada rajastamo bhava kama lobha dayaschaye sheta iter anavidham stitam sattve prasidhati evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate vidyate hridaya grantish chijante sarva samshaya shiyante chasya karmani drishta eva manishvare. Ato vai kabayo nityam bhaktim paramayamudha vasudeve bhagavati kurvantyatma prasadanim sattvam rajastama iti prakritir gonastar yukta para purusha eka ihasya date stityadaye harivrinshi hareti samja sheyamsi tattva kalu sattva tanonrinam su partibadharano dumas tasmadagnistrayi mayaha tamasastu rajastasmad sattvam yad brahma darshanam bejade munayotagre bhagavantam batoksajam sattvam vishuddham shemaya kalpante yenutaniha mumukshavo ghora rupam hitva bhuta patinata narayana kalashanta bhajanti yana suyava rajastama prakritaya samashila bhajanti vai pitrir bhuta pajeshadin shri aishvarya prajepsavaha vasudeva paraveda vasudeva paramakaha vasudeva paramya vasudeva parakriyaha vasudeva param jnanam vasudeva param tapaha vasudeva paro dharmo vasudeva paragatihi sa evedam sasarjagre bhagavanatma maya sarasadrupaya chaso gunamaya guno vibhu taya vilashiteshveshu nuneshu gunavaniva anta pravishta abhati vijnanena vrajambritaha taya here rarukshveka sayonishu nane bhavati vishmatma bhuteshu cha tatapuman asau gunamayer bhavir bhuta sukshmendriyatmabi sa nirmiteshu nirvishto bhute bhuteshu tadgunan Kesha satvena lokan vai lokabhavana lila bhataranurato devatiryanararishu iti Srimad Bhagavate Mahapurane Varamahamsyam Samitayam Pratamaskande Naimishyo Prakyane Dvitiyo Dhyaya Hari Om. Translation, please. Ugrashava, Sutta Goswami, the son of Romaharshan, being fully satisfied by the perfect questions of the Brahmanas, thanked them and thus attempted to reply. Srila Sutta Goswami said, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto that great sage, Shukdev Goswami, who can enter the hearts of all. When he went away to take up the renounced order of life, sannyas, leaving home without undergoing reformation by the sacred thread or the ceremonies observed by the higher castes, his father Vyasadeva, feeling separation from him, cried out, 'O my son!' Indeed, only the trees which were absorbed in the same feelings of separation echoed in response to the begrieved father. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him, Shuka, the spiritual master of all sages, the son of Vyasadeva, who, out of his great compassion for those gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest regions of material existence, spoke this most confidential supplement to the cream of Vedic knowledge. after having personally assimilated it by experience. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. O sages, I've been justly questioned by you. Your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. The supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. The occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead. All occupational engagements are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Furthermore, according to sages, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. Life's desires should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation, since a human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's works. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. The seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti. O best among the twice born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging the duties prescribed for one's own occupation, according to caste divisions and orders of life, is to please the personality of Godhead. Therefore, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead, who is the protector of the devotees. With sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work, karma, by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to his message? O twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely free from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, supersoul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes completely happy. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Thus the knot in the heart is pierced, and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated, when one sees the self as master. Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, with great delight, because such devotional service is enlivening to the self. The transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the three modes of material nature, namely passion, goodness, and ignorance. And just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction, he accepts the three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. Firewood is a transformation of earth, but smoke is better than the raw wood, and fire is still better, for by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic sacrifices. Similarly, passion, rajas, is better than ignorance, tamas, but goodness, sattva, is best, because by goodness one can come to realize the absolute truth. Those who are in the mode previously, all the great sages, rendered service unto the personality of Godhead, due to his existence above the three modes of material nature. They worshipped him to become free from material conditions and thus derive the ultimate benefit. Whoever follows such great authorities is also eligible for liberation from the material world. Those who are serious about liberation are certainly non-envious, and they respect all. Yet they reject the horrible and ghastly forms of the demigods, and worship only the all-blissful forms of Lord Vishnu and his plenary portions. Those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance worship those in the same category, namely the forefathers, other living beings, and the demigods who are in charge of cosmic activities, for they are urged by desire to materially benefited with women, wealth, power, and progeny. In the revealed scriptures, the ultimate object of knowledge is Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The purpose of performing sacrifice is to please him. Yoga is for realizing him. All fruitive activities are ultimately rewarded by him only. He is supreme knowledge, and all severe austerities are performed to know him. Religion, dharma, is rendering loving service unto him. He is the supreme goal of life. In the beginning of the material creation, that absolute personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, in his transcendental position, created the energies of cause and effect by his own internal energy. After creating the material substance, the Lord Vasudeva expands himself and enters into it. And although he is within the material modes of nature and appears to be one of the created beings, he is always fully enlightened in his transcendental position. The Lord as Supersoul pervades all things, just as fire permeates wood, and so he appears to be of many varieties, though he is the absolute one without a second. The Supersoul enters into the bodies of the created beings who are influenced by the modes of material nature and causes them to enjoy the effects of these modes by the subtle mind. Thus the Lord of the universes maintains all planets inhabited by demigods, men, and lower animals. Assuming the roles of incarnations, he performs pastimes to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome His Holiness Romapada Swami, an international treasure who's been in the Krishna consciousness movement since the early days when Prabhupada taught about Bhagavatam and preaching all over the world. Maharaj took it up and has been doing so on all levels since the early days of the Krishna consciousness movement. It's a great honor to have you here, Maharaj, and deeply heartfelt that you keep us in your orbit. And we thank you very much for your association. And now we'll perform the Guru Puja. Maharaj will be doing the puja, and so we can move around Srila Prabhupada. And please start with Namashrishtam. Thank you. Namashrishtam. Namashrishtam. Om. It's coming. Namashrishtam manamapi shachi putramatra sarupam. Shirupam tasya grajam aruparim maturim goshtavatim. Radha kundam girivaramaho radhika madhavasham. Prapto yasya pratita kripaya shri gurum tannatosmi. He guru jnanada dina bandho swanandanatha koranayika sindho. Vrindavana sinahitavata. Rasida Radha Pranaya Prachara. Help him. He Dina Bandho Koranayika Sindho Kuru Prasadam Mayamanda Mudhe Laksha Parade Bahupapagade Tatpada Padme Stumatishta Krishne Naivo Payantya Pachitim Kavayastavesha Ramayusha Prikritam Riddhamudasmaranta Yontar Bahisthanubratam Ashubam Vadunvan Acharya Chaitya Vapusha Swagatim Yanakti. I bow down to the beautiful lotus feet of my spiritual master, by whose causeless mercy I have obtained the supreme holy name, the divine mantra, the service of the son of Shachi Mata, the association of Srila Sarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami and his older brother Sanatana Goswami, the supreme abode of Mathura, the blissful abode of Vrindavan, the divine Radha Kunds and Govardhan Hill, and the desire within my heart for the loving service of Sri Radhika and Madhava in Vrindavan. O spiritual master, O giver of divine wisdom, O friend of the fallen, you are the giver of your own bliss, and you are the only ocean of mercy. Although dwelling in Vrindavan, you have descended for the welfare of fallen souls like myself, and you are preaching the divine love of Radha for Krishna. Please be kind upon me. O friend of the lowly, O Gurudev, you are the only ocean of mercy. I'm a dull fool and have committed hundreds of thousands of offenses. I have fallen into a dense myriad of sins. Therefore grace me with your mercy so that my mind may be fixed on your lotus feet and on Sri Krishna. O my Lord, transcendental poets and experts in spiritual science could not fully express their indebtedness to you, even if they were endowed with the prolonged lifetime of Brahma. For you appear in two forms, externally as the Acharya and internally as the Supersoul, to deliver the embodied living being by divine. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. Our only wish is to have our consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens our darkened eyes and fills our hearts with transcendental knowledge. He is our Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. Sri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma. Bando Mui Sabadana Can't hear you at all. Barely, barely. Bhakti, no chanting today. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gayatani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Paschacharishapane Namaste Saraswate Deve Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama, Hare Rama. Jai Go Premanande.
Pad Paramahansa Parividagacharya Astatarasatasi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Nityanira Prabhishta Om Paramahansa Parividagacharya Astatarasatasi Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gogopinath Shamakund Radha Kundagiri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Ganga Mai Ki Jamuna Mai Ki Tulsi Devi Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Brihat Madanga Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Nitai Gaur Pimanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Okay.
Welcome everyone for the Bhagavatam class here at ISKCON Silicon Valley. If you're just joining us online or here in the live studio audience, we have a special guest, His Holiness Romapada Swami, who's an international preacher of Krishna consciousness, just coming back from places I can't even mention right now online. And also, you'll be all happy to know that he's one of the great champions of book distribution in the Krishna conscious movement since the early days. What to speak of being a stalwart in the executive branch of the Krishna conscious movement for many years, and who's been a personal mentor of mine for many, many decades. So we again thank His Holiness Romapada Swami for coming here to ISV. Hare Krishna.
You're the official Mridanga player. No? No? Who's the official harmonium player? Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavi Hari Gopti Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Prabhupada, Paramahamsa, Parividikacharya, Astaterasata, Srimad, His Divine Grace, Sri Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Sri Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Gaur Premanandi. This is such a magical place. I'm expecting the Bhagavatam is going to fly from the ceiling and land on the book stand here. Where's the Bhagavatam? Whatever you, I mean, I thought I just do the next verse and the next verse from whatever you were doing. I'm supposed to pick a verse? What's the usual here? I pick a verse. That's the usual. Okay, here it flew from the ceiling. We got. Well, those Canto 1, Chapter 2, those verses are so nice. Now you have to pick one from that such a nice chapter. Okay, text 9. 1, 2, 9. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dharmasya hyapavargasya narto tayopakalpate nartasya dharmakantasya kamo labhaya hi smritaha dharmasya hyapavargasya narto tayopakalpate nartasya dharmakantasya kamo labhaya hi smritaha
tasya kamulabhaya hi smrita
Mataji's.
नार्थोऽर्थायो कल्पते नार्थस्य धर्मकान्तस्य कामो लाभाय हि स्मृतः
Nartasya dharmakantasya kamo labhaya hi smrta.
น
Dharmasya. Occupational engagement. He certainly. Apavargyasya. Ultimate liberation. Na. Not. Artaha. End. Artaya. For material gain. Upakalpate. Is meant for. Na. Neither. Artasya. Of material gain. Dharma eka antasya. For one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service. Kamaha. Sense gratification. Labhaya. Attainment of. He. Exactly. Smritaha is described by the great sages. Translation: all occupational engagements are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Furthermore, according to sages, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. We have already discussed that pure devotional service to the Lord is automatically followed by perfect knowledge and detachment from material existence. But there are others who consider that all kinds of different occupational engagements, including those of religion, are meant for material gain. The general tendency of any ordinary man in any part of the world is to gain some material profit in exchange for religion or any other occupational service, even in the Vedic literatures. For all sorts of religious performances, an allurement of material gain is offered, and most people are attracted by such allurements or blessings of religiosity. Why are such so-called men of religion allured by material gain? Because material gain can enable one to fulfill desires, which in turn satisfies sense gratification. This cycle of occupational engagements includes so-called religiosity followed by material gain, and material gain followed by fulfillment of desires. Sense gratification is the general way for all sorts of fully occupied men, but in the statement of Sutta Goswami, as per the verdict of Srimad Bhagavatam, this is nullified by the present shloka paragraph. One should not engage himself in any sort of occupational service for material gain only, nor should material gain be utilized for sense gratification. How material gain should be utilized is described as follows. In one sense, the whole Srimad Bhagavatam could just be this Canto 1, Chapter 2. It's so complete. Of course, it's nice to expand the topics, but it's so complete. So at the beginning of the purport, Prabhupada refers to a prior verse, and that's Vasudevi Bhagavati, Bhakti Yoga Prayojataha Janiyati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yadahaitukam. Causelessly, ahaitukam, causelessly, knowledge and detachment arises. What does that mean? It means it's already there. But, there's always a but, isn't it? But, it's covered. Really? Knowledge and detachment are covered, and for that matter, devotional service is covered. For that matter, prema bhakti, not just bhakti, prema bhakti is already there. Sometimes devotees like controversy. Sometimes devotees don't like controversy. But there was a controversy. Did you know about the controversy? I won't go into it too much because it's controversial. Let me ask you this, rather than going into the controversy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, by both the mercy of Guru and Krishna, Guru Krishna Prasadi by Bhakti Lata Bija, by the combined mercy of Guru and Krishna, one gets the seed of bhakti. Correct? And it also says in the same Chaitanya Charitamrita that Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sajjakabunoi Shravadadi Shuddha Chitte Karai. So Krishna Prema is already there. Have you ever wondered how those two statements fit together? You see the apparent contradiction. But one is by mercy, and the other is it's already there. So which is it? What is it? What is it that one gets from the causeless mercy of Guru and Krishna? What is it one gets? Because it's already there. Who wants to raise their hand and give an educated answer? I see one nice lady over here. You got a microphone? Look at that. She's got one already. Remembering?
Remembrance.
Well, can you elaborate a little bit?
Well, if it's already there, but it's covered, all we need is the mercy of the spiritual master to uncover what has been buried.
Okay, so let me, because you raise your hand, I'm going to drill you a little bit. All right? Remember, but then there's this seed, Bhakti Lata Bija, the seed of Bhakti. Mm-hmm. So what's the seed of Bhakti and this remembrance that you're talking about?
Well, if we're given the seed of Bhakti...
But it's already there.
Well, then we have to remember that it's there in order to remember to water it.
Wait a minute.
If you don't know it's there, you can't take care of it.
So what's this? The seed is remembering that you got to take care of it. That's the seed?
Oh, no. The seed itself is the ladder to love of God.
Wait a minute. It's already there.
It is.
Huh?
It is.
It is. It is or it isn't?
It's absolutely there.
Okay, then what's the seed? It's already there. What's the seed? You follow what there's a simple solution, but I just want to get everybody sitting on the edge of their seat so they can hear the solution and grasp it. What is it? What's that seed? The seed of remembrance?
Well, it's the seed of the love of Godhead.
Seed of love of God, but its love of Godhead is already there. So what do you need the seed for? Because you forgot. So it's there, but they need the seed to remember what you forgot. What's that seed, anyways? We have a hand up over here. It's not that what you said is not right. It's just, this is a different way of giving a morning Bhagavatam class, isn't it?
This seed is bhakti.
It's what?
Bhakti.
It's bhakti?
Yes.
Yeah, but bhakti is, in its mature stage, is prema bhakti. In the mature stage, it's prema bhakti. And it's all, prema bhakti. Prema bhakti is already there. And prema bhakti is for covered, that means it's in a seed form. Isn't it? It's already there. It just have to be watered and nurtured, and it comes out as different stages of bhakti. But it's already there in the not yet matured stage of prema bhakti. Prema bhakti, it's already there. Is it or not? Okay, so now what's your answer? Try it again. Say it again. I'm not trying to give you a hard time. Just encouraging you to be thoughtful.
The seed is
Huh? Go ahead, say. You've got the microphone.
the seed is our unawakened love for Krishna.
The seed is what?
Our unawakened love for Krishna, our dormant love.
But the dormant love for Krishna is already there in the seed form within the heart. So now the seed is... Okay, we have another hand up. We have 4 more hands up. What are you doing? You're going to move the microphone. I like it where it is. You put it where it was, I moved it. Okay. Did you notice that I did that? I didn't. Yeah, I moved it. Go ahead.
So Srila Prabhupada explains that bhakti is not just an emotion, but it's also a practice.
Yeah.
So the spiritual master gives us the service, like we have Sambandha, Abhidya, and Prayojan.
Okay.
So the seed could be, this is my understanding, the engagement in the process of devotion.
Let's say it again, the last part slowly. The spiritual master gives...
The spiritual master engages the disciple in the service of Krishna, and that could be the seed.
That's the previous verse, too, by the way. The bhakti, by its own nature, awakens that which is dormant, awakens knowledge and detachment. We're getting there. Anyone else want to add something? There's a hand back there.
Hare Krishna. The potential for bhakti is in the heart, just like...
That's a seed. There's potential within a seed.
No.
Just
yes. Like a land,
There's potential within a seed, I'm sorry. You have a seed that has life inside, but it's stored because it's covered by the seed. But you sprout it, that potential comes out in the form of something, whatever it's the seed of. Banyan tree, or whatever it's the seed of. It's there, the potential is there already.
Sure. So what Guru does is just like a fertile land needs a seed to grow. The heart is just like the fertile land, and Guru or saintly association gives that seed for the growth.
Here goes Vaisheshika Prabhu. Yeah, please. Rescue us.
Prabhupada gives the answer in his purport. He says that it's the instruction of the spiritual master and the receptivity of the disciple that is the seed of bhakti. He said that instruction and the willingness of the disciple to accept the instruction is called the bhakti lata bij.
Very good. Very good. That's what's given. It's the instruction and the receptivity of that which is given. Has the potential, the potency of awakening that which is already there. So that the sound vibration must be received, not just sound vibration, but bhakti has to be received from one who is carrying bhakti. Is it true? The answer is yes. Is it true that some people chant Hare Krishna that are impersonalists? Once upon a time, I was a college kid, and my first introduction to chanting Hare Krishna was from an impersonalist. And his goal was chanting Hare Krishna to become Krishna. So the sound vibration has to be heard from one who is carrying bhakti. Bhakti is received from one who is carrying bhakti. So that's the awakening. That's the gift that one receives, is the instruction, and then there's the willingness that's also already inherent because prema bhakti is already there, but it's covered with forgetfulness or ignorance. That's the removal. There's a sound vibration from Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our topic, when that sound vibration from Srimad Bhagavatam is heard from a proper source regularly, then that which is forgotten becomes awakened. It's the willingness to become awake. That's Adau Shraddha, isn't it? Adau Shraddha, the preliminary faith. Of course, faith is there because prema is there. Prema bhakti is there. But it's supposing somebody doesn't want to wake up. You try to wake somebody that doesn't want to wake up, they don't wake up because they don't want to wake up. But those who want to, by circumstance and so forth, and that sound vibration, that's the acceptance of that sound vibration. In other words, part of the solution to this apparent dilemma is bhakti is both inherent and it's something received. It's not one or the other. It's both. It's inherent and it's received or awakened by the one who's carrying bhakti. So that's the reference in the beginning of the purport to the previous message, that knowledge and detachment arise causelessly. Now that's not the main part of this verse. The main part of this verse is there are other people that think something else. The pravriti as opposed to nivriti path. The Vaishnava path is progressively decreasing attachment and increasing attachment to Krishna, decreasing attachment to matter and increasing attachment to Krishna. That's the knowledge and detachment that causelessly arise. That's how that knowledge is manifest, is one becomes attracted to Sat and not so attracted, not as attracted as previously to Asat. That's the awakening of bhakti, of that which is inherent through that sound vibration that comes from a proper source. Just a little sharing, it's anecdotal, but I tried to push it on my mind, it wouldn't go away. The person who I was hearing this chanting from when I was like a college kid was become one with the chant. Become one with the chant. And I thought, that sounds cool. What does that mean? But, I tried to become one with the chant, become one with the chant. And then there was a further explanation of what he meant by that. What he meant by that was, in the beginning, there's you and the chant. And eventually, it's just the chant. Then I understood what he meant. Bhakti, or the semblance of bhakti, was a means to get to becoming one with the Supreme. And I thought, poor Krishna. I become Krishna? Oh no. Forget this guy. That's all it took, because I understood what he meant. I was just a college kid. I didn't know nothing about nothing. But that much was really clear. I become Krishna. So sound vibration has to be heard from the proper source. And when it's heard from the proper source, that's what the Bhagavatam is doing. It's guarding us against two things. What are those two things? Not doing bhakti to get something, because that's fruitive. That's karmakanda, or the fruitive intention of reading the Bhagavatam. Maybe you know some people, I know some people that want to do this to get that. material. Now, their idea of material is, I can use that material in Krishna's service. But they're really fixated. There's a certain dialogue I'm having with somebody that's obsessive about doing bhakti to get something that they can then use in Krishna's service. They don't see that they're wanting to use bhakti to get something, even to use it in Krishna's service, as part of the problem. Part of the anartha within their heart, they can't see it. So this verse is a good verse. I think I'm going to share this verse with that person. It's meant for apavarga. And you all know the pa, ba, 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 ma, that sequence. I'm not a Sanskrit scholar, but there's pa, va, ba, ba, ma. Each of those syllables in declension in grammar, they mean something in its material existence. That's pavarga. And this is apavarga, without going through all that sequence. Pavarga. In Prabhupada's translation here is ultimate liberation. Not just liberation, but ultimate liberation. What's the distinction? Ultimate liberation is being absorbed in our eternal relationship with Krishna in prema bhakti. That's the mature fruit, that's the prema bhakti that's within, that can be awakened by sound vibration from the right source and accepting it and growing with it and growing with it and growing with it. Then that's the mature stage. That's the ultimate liberation stage, where there's nothing. There's nothing else. Vyavasayatmika buddhi, ekeha kurunandana. There's only one thing. What's that one thing? Loving service to Krishna. Not loving service to Krishna mixed, or loving service to Krishna to get something that I can use in Krishna's service, or something like that. So these things, the subtle things can be elusive, not easy to capture. However, the Bhagavatam is firm. Dharmasya hi apavargasya. And it shouldn't be anything else. It's one thing and not anything else. And then comes, well, okay, supposing I'm doing devotional service and something comes. Hey. Supposing it's not just something material, something obviously a material wealth, or supposing it's recognition, supposing it's position, labha, puja, pratishtha, supposing it's one of those more subtle things. And don't become the enjoyer of those more subtle things. What do? You're not an enjoyer of those subtle things, but those things come. You engage them in service to Krishna in a graceful and cultured way. I'm going to share something with you that I learned recently from Ramayana, and it's a very nice lesson on this topic. And I'll try not to speak too long because I like the topic. The topic is gratitude, or the topic is something that comes to you from some past pious activities or some past devotional service. This is also found in Madhurya Kandambani. There's fruits of piety that can be an obstacle, or fruits of past devotional service. It can be an obstacle in the bhakti path. So in the Ramayana, there's a situation where Hanuman has a service to do. And his service, there's two things. His service is to verify what Sampati said, that Sita is in Lanka in this Ashok grove, and she's okay. So Hanuman was to verify, is she there? And another thing is Hanuman was to inform Sita, Ram will come and redeem you, so don't give up. Two things. So he's preparing to cross the ocean, 800 miles, that's a big jump. And as he's jumping, he meets obstacles. The lesson is, there's layers of lessons, but one of them is, when you're doing devotional service, guess what? Sometimes there's obstacles. And one of those obstacles is the fruits of your past piety. And the fruits of your past piety, or past devotional service, or present devotional service. And there's accolades that come to one for the fruits of piety, or nicely done devotional service. So here's the scene was, from the ocean arose Mainaka, a big mountain with a golden top. And how did that happen? It happened because, not that Hanuman did something, but Hanuman, being in the service of Ramachandra, an ancestor of Ramachandra, Sagara, did some nice service for the ocean. The service that the ancestor of Ramachandra did, Sagara did for the Samudra, was he expanded the ocean and he filled it up again when Agastya wanted to dry it up. So there's this nice statement that's really, I like it. It's a statement that as the mountain rose, so Samudra went to Mainaka. And Mainaka had received some service from Hanuman's father. Who's Hanuman's father? Vayu. So Vayu rescued Mainaka. How did he do that? In Satya Yuga, believe it or not, mountains used to fly. Mountains used to fly, had wings and they would fly. And when they would come in for a landing, they would land, they just like the example is given, like an elephant steps, they don't pay attention to what they're stepping on. The entities under their big feet that get crushed. So when the mountains were flying here and there, they went to Indra and said, do something, we're getting crushed. So he said, yeah, I'll help. So he had a thunderbolt weapon, he was cutting off the wings of the mountains so they couldn't fly around anymore. But Mainaka had developed a friendship with Vayu, so Vayu blew him into the ocean, and he landed and went down into the ocean, so he still had his wings. So Samudra went to Mainaka and said, can you help? Because it's part of culture. When you receive something, you acknowledge something in the form of some service. It's called gratitude. There's a verse where Mainaka comes out of the sea and Hanuman sees he's in the way. Hanuman can't pass. And there's a verse in Ramayana that says, it's part of Sanatan Dharma, it's an essential fundamental principle of Sanatan Dharma. Now it's a different Sanatan Dharma than we're used to, but Sanatan Dharma in the other sense of Dharma, that when you receive something, you're indebted. And you must do something in reciprocation from those from whom you receive something. And the commentary says that Mainaka knew that Hanuman was very dharmic. So he knew that he had to receive something. And Mainaka had to give something. It's an example of fruits of piety, or in his case, it wasn't even something that he did, it was something his father did. You know, some of us have a spiritual father. All of us have a material father. Some of us have so some recognition may come to any one of us because of something Prabhupada did. And you're honored because you're a Prabhupada disciple, or you're a follower of ISKCON, and ISKCON is recognized, at least in certain parts of the world, as something very wonderful. And you didn't do anything. Prabhupada did something, but you're getting some recognition. Now when that recognition comes, what do? You can just say, no. You can do that one. But that's not receiving kindness. When someone wants to offer kindness, what do you don't just say no, no, no. That's impersonal. So what do? Say yes, yes, yes. No, you don't do that either. What do? Well, there's different things you can do, but one of the things you can do is credit goes to the person it belongs to. It belongs to the person that bestowed these nice things, that gave the seed of bhakti, or those devotees who have helped you most in your Krishna bhakti. Credit goes to those people, not to me. So what Hanuman did was, he had a mission. He had an urgent service. And he was fixed on that urgent service. So what did he do? He descended and he touched the mountain, gave his benediction and blessings. I'll just share something. I just came from China, so I'm going to tell some China stories, a little bit. It's part of culture. What cultured people like to do is like it happens again and again in Ramayana. Ram wants to give something to somebody, but he doesn't have something because he's in the forest. So what do? With your folded palms, you give your encouragement. So in China, it's just a thing. It's part of the culture. They give gifts. And I don't need stuff. So what do you do when you're given stuff that you don't need? It's a problem, I can tell you. I brought back an extra suitcase. And I'm going to be busy giving gifts to people here in America for this and that and something and something. There are things you can do that it's similar to what Hanuman did. He touched, and that was sufficient. And so Mainaka felt blessed. He had expressed his dharma, his sanatan dharma of expressing his gratitude. Hanuman received it gracefully and gratefully without indulging himself. And without saying, no, 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 no. It's not easy. It's not easy. But it's part of our culture. So that's the second half of this verse. And if something material does come, what do you do with it? You offer to Krishna. It doesn't stick. It goes to Krishna means then can be the Vaishnavas or those who have helped you in your path of Krishna bhakti. Acknowledgement goes to those personalities. If it's some words of appreciation or honor or something on that subtle level, something more specific. Depends on what the something more specific is, what you do with that. But it doesn't stick. It's similar to amanina manadena. You offer all respect to others without any expectation of respect in return. The second one is more difficult than the first one. Because many people, they're expecting something. There's a whole thing of expectations. One of my little soapbox topics is expectations. Soapbox means I see devotees that have been around for a while and get initiation and have a career and some skills. They have an expectation. And those expectations are Krishna's not at the center kind of expectations. And it leads to conflicts amongst the devotees. Dissension amongst the devotees. because of expectations. Now I'm Brahminically initiated, and I've been, I have an IT job or something, and I'm expecting some position and some honor and some something. And if I get it, I may not use it properly because I'm not such a cultured person. I'm not Hanuman. I don't know how to properly receive something that comes my way. Now, maybe that doesn't happen here, but it probably does, and it certainly happens elsewhere. Become a sannyasi for a while, and you'll see it all over the place. How do you deal with expectations? You just, become purified by reading Srimad Bhagavatam. That's one good thing. If something comes, it never sticks. And if something, don't do something to get something. And if you don't do something to get something, then why do you do something? Because material is you do something to get something. So the lesson of Srimad Bhagavatam is that one thing. Back to, prema bhakti. And that's kind of really high, and we're not there yet. The big gap between where we are and what we know. And that's what we're supposed to get to. So then, therefore, sadhu sangha. That is, association with persons who are closer to there than I am. There's a very nice teaching in Chaitanya Charitamrita where Sanatana Goswami is hearing from Lord Chaitanya about how bhakti begins, and it begins through sadhu sangha and says many nice verses about it. And then he goes on to when in the topmost stages of bhakti, sadhu sangha is essential. It's not optional. At every stage of bhakti, because there are things inside that we don't necessarily see about ourselves. I've recently learned some things about myself that I didn't know were there because somebody very kindly pointed it out. And it was very, very helpful. It wasn't intentional, just something that so having association with sadhus is very helpful. Not just helpful, essential. And then our movement, or we as an individual, any one of us as an individual, or groups of individuals, or yatras, or the Hare Krishna movement in general, we have a long way to go. There's the goal, and then there's where we are, and there's a big gap. So regularly hearing, that's the remedy, regularly hearing Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of devotees will help us get there. But it's also really helpful if there's somebody that you're close to that can tap you on the shoulder and disclose something that you need to hear, and you won't take it as something that's hurtful, because it's not coming from a hurtful place, something that you need to hear. Something that you already know, but you just forgot. Same question as before. That's sadhu sangha. That's what Prabhupada established the Hare Krishna movement for. That's why this temple was established, and it's what we are meant to do. And then the meant to do and what we do may be different, or a gap at least. And so may you all become sadhus, or at least some amongst you become genuine sadhus and be kind to others and help them in ways that's respectful. Hearing the message of the Bhagavatam carefully together in association with one another, and striving to reach that which the Bhagavatam wants to give us, or the reason that Prabhupada dedicated so much of his valuable time and energy to give the world Srimad Bhagavatam. I think Vaisheshika Prabhu would be happy to hear this. The China BBT is about to print the remaining volumes of the final cantos of the Bhagavatam that haven't been in print, because they had the ISBN, but they never printed them. And this year, so that's coming this year, I think in time for Bhadra Purnima. They have a different way of celebrating it in China. They call it something else, the Moon Festival or something. But it's the same Purnima. They just call it something else. And Chaitanya Charitamrita for the first time in Chinese. Different number of volumes, but Prabhupada's labor of love and receiving it. So I understand today is a nice day amongst 364 other days of the year to distribute books, but a special Saturday festival. So I'm going to speak something about book distribution. Out of gratitude to our founder Acharya, who sacrificed so much for the world, us and the world, and is continuing and expanding to bring that same knowledge that awakens what we've forgotten. And we can be little instruments to assist. Some people are better at it, some people are medium, some people are not as good at it. And you put them all together and you get something that's really a nice offering of gratitude to our founder Acharya. That's certainly something we can do. Unquestionably, undoubtedly, something that we can do to reciprocate with our founder Acharya, who gave his life for us in the form of giving the seed of bhakti, this knowledge, sound vibration, and all we had to do was say yes. And then, continue to say yes, and continue to say yes, and let it go further and further and further and awaken our dormant Krishna prema. It's a very important service. Certainly this temple is one of the outstanding beacons of light for such a service. And I'm sure it's inspiring not just devotees that live on the West Coast, but devotees around the world, how dedicated you are to hearing and chanting and giving this knowledge to others in a very focused way. And we'll benefit as others will benefit simultaneously. So let's see if there's some discussion. Sorry to start with a little controversy at the beginning, but I don't know you all, so I thought I'd get you a little antsy or something. Comments or questions? A hand up. Is there a microphone?
Hare Krishna, thank you for the beautiful lecture. In the translation, I was struck by how many words had the same prefix, the artha. Artaha
Yes.
was end, artaya for
Yes.
material gain, artasya for material gain.
Yes.
And it's funny to me that the first one, end, they're all present in those words, so it's almost telling us by the word material gain, just don't.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of a story I'd heard of Srila Prabhupada, and he was in the original New York temple. There was a donut shop nearby, and he would sometimes see young devotees eating donuts in the shop, and they'd see him at the window, and they'd slunk down in their seats and try to hide. And he would say later, he says, "The sign says do not."
That's cute. Well, I also wanted to comment, but I got distracted by this other message that I wanted to give. But artha, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, when people do dharma to get artha. And there's a common understanding what artha means. It means economic development or money or wealth or prosperity, material prosperity, artha. But it has a different meaning. That's like the material meaning, and then there's the higher meaning, and then there's the higher meaning, and then there's a higher meaning, and then there's the ultimate meaning. Appavarga is the ultimate liberation. That's the highest artha, devotional service. So activity should be performed for that purpose. Okay, thank you for that do not example. Anything else? Comments? Complaints? You're hungry.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the class. I understood that we should not even ask Krishna for material gifts, even if we want to use it in service. So, what if we have goals for book distribution, and we have goals to meet, like we have 55,000 Srimad Bhagavatam sets. So if we ask Krishna for Lakshmi and for devotees so that we can meet those goals, is that
then it becomes a spiritual goal. That's the trick. You follow? Should I say it again? I'll say it again. I'll expand. There's material goal. I want to get this and check the box. I want to get that, check the box. I want to get recognition because I met my goal. I want the satisfaction. I try to get my goal. I got my goal, and I'm feeling satisfaction. That's what not to do, goal-wise or achievement-wise or something. So is there a spiritual alternative? Of course there is.
Maharaj, how to identify this, that I am not...
Who's at the center?
Yeah.
That's how you identify it. Really simple.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, we're mixed devotees. There may be some pure devotees in the room, but most of us are mixed devotees. So that's the target. That's where to look and examine. Now, what happens if you're a mixed devotee? Should you not have a goal? You should have a goal. But you should also recognize, I need to let go of that material side of the goal. And one of the things is the hearing and chanting and associating with devotees who are very absorbed, immersed in hearing and chanting, meaning sadhus. And that can help me get free from the material portion of my consciousness, my motivation to do something, to get something. For my, with myself at the center, being the enjoyer of that, or getting the recognition for that, or something like that. It's just not satisfying to us or to Krishna. It's not as satisfying to us or to Krishna otherwise. So it's okay.
Thank you, Maharaj.
I was recently listening to a lecture Prabhupada was giving in Bombay, and he was speaking about the devotees that are raising funds for the temple. And he was taking this example that you're just raising, or question you're raising. He was indicating in very clear language, of course he was giving a lot of credit to the devotees that do fundraising for the temple, that they have no personal interest. So when they come to you, to the home of the householder, for alms, because they're brahmacharis, they don't keep anything. It just goes to the temple, to the deity, and making nice arrangements for the worship of the deity and completing the construction and so forth and so on. So the motivation behind is essential in having a target or a goal or something. Prabhupada, the publication of the Chaitanya Charitamrita on impossible time frame, or the building of the Vrindavan temple in an impossible time frame, and it happened. But he pushed hard. The Bombay temple, he pushed hard. there was a goal, but it wasn't for him. And by that purity, we were able to do what we did, to at least, to some degree, with the right purpose. I remember raising the money in New York, raising money for the Bombay Temple. Boy, did we work hard. We didn't keep anything. It just went to the Bombay. Prabhupada gave a quota to large temples, and we worked really hard. We sent it, and he was very pleased. So having goals is fine. It was the motive behind it. Who's at the center? Who's the enjoyer of that effort? Vaisheshika Prabhu, you want to contribute something here?
Well, as far as I can remember, I remember His Holiness Romapada Swami always being at the front of the Sankirtan movement. We can see older pictures. I can see older pictures before I joined the Krishna conscious movement of His Holiness Romapada Swami sitting in an assembly of devotees at Prabhupada's lotus feet. And I remember distinctly when I did then join the movement, then seeing him here, there, and everywhere, always advocating for expanding book distribution or any other program that Srila Prabhupada advocated for. That he took that advice about the mantra, become one with the mantra, to become one in desire with Prabhupada's desire. And I remember specifically in New York, when we all lived together under one roof at 340 West 55th. Remember, Maharaj?
Oh, yeah.
It's like saying, do you remember remember the Beatles? So, and one Christmas marathon, the airport had gotten slow near the very end. There was a lull. So you told me I should go on traveling Sankirtan. And I said, okay, who should I go with? And you said, oh, no, it's just you.
I said
and
that.
I said, but aren't I supposed to travel with somebody, go with somebody? And he said, Prabhupada said, always remember that you're never alone. Krishna's there in your heart. And Nirkula is reminding me that it was one of the best lessons I ever got, because I took that to heart. And when I went on the traveling Sankirtan, I felt that Krishna was assisting me in all different ways that I couldn't have imagined. And I owe a great debt of gratitude to you.
That's what terrible advice.
It worked for me, and it was a very blissful time. And so I remember you throughout the early years of the 70s, and then the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and up into the current time, that you've always been at the lead of the Sankirtan movement, and always been an example of humbly following Prabhupada's instructions. So I feel a great debt of gratitude to you for all you've done. Now let's see if you can not just say no. He said earlier, don't just say no, right? Thank you. Thank you very, very much for being a gracious and exemplary older brother, and a leader in the Krishna consciousness movement that people can look to and see how to use one's whole life from pillar to post in Srila Prabhupada's service. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Are you sure I said go on traveling Sankirtan alone? Yeah? And you did it.
I did it.
Oh,
yeah.
gosh. We're both crazy.
Another thing I remember from 340 West 55th is that Prabhupada had given an edict that everybody should go out. And I wonder if you can tell about that, because that was something that he asked all of us to do. That is, all of the temple communities maybe it was all over the world, he had sent out. And he said at some point, everyone on certain days should go out all together, and you can leave one person back to do all the offerings and do all the deity worship. Can you say anything about that, your remembrance?
I don't remember 55th Street, but I certainly remember the Henry Street Temple. And Gopijana Ballabha was the president. And the only person that stayed back after the Rajbhog offering was cooked was Rukmini. She was the pujari, and she stayed on the altar and took care of all the deity worship. And everybody, all the press, at that time it wasn't BBT, it was ISKCON Press, all the artists, Muralidhar, Bhardraj, and everybody went. Everybody. It was so blissful. So there wasn't anybody. I was the only one left, and I had to, that's how when I could chant my japa. Everybody's out, and if people would call with this problem, that problem, and they need more books or something. I was a Sankirtan leader for maybe 3 years. We did that for 3 years. And Saturday Sankirtan. It was everybody, except the pujari, one pujari. The cooks helped for the Rajbhog, and then they went out too. Everybody, Mangalananda, and you name it. Everybody, all the Prabhupada disciple personalities, because we just understood that's what Prabhupada wanted. And I was enthusiastic about it. So no one went under a rock and hid out. Everybody went out. As far as 55th Street, I don't remember that specifically, because there was a restaurant and so many other things going on, and I don't remember what you remember. I remember very clearly Henry Street.
Maharaj, we've noticed that you personally distribute hundreds, thousands of Bhagavatam sets wherever you go. You advocate for it when you give classes. Every place that you have anything to do with the management does huge amounts of Bhagavatam sets. And I was wondering if you could say a few words about why you do that.
I just think of you. That's how I can do it. To be honest, your prompt, I was told before I came here that Vaisheshika Prabhu wants to speak with you about Bhadra Purnima this year. So, it went back on my radar screen. So the prompt is, your enthusiasm. And, one person here in the room is from the Naperville Temple, and there's one person in the room from the Naperville Temple that takes responsibility for the Bhadra Purnima Bhagavatam set distribution, has his garage loaded up with Bhagavatam sets already in anticipation of Bhagavatam sets. And the enthusiasm is contagious. From him, then other people and other people and other people. And, it's just the social networking thing and new people, and somehow people go home with a Bhagavatam set. So you want me to say something about it? It's just, being honest, it's you spark, and I fan the spark. There's others, same type of thing. In some places where I go, where I don't have the same influence, but I found a little spark and start fanning the spark. And say, have you made arrangements for the sets distributed this in anticipation of Bhadra Purnima. So send me the poster, the generic one that they can add their local stuff that says whatever it's supposed to say. And then, I'll do my thing. Fan the sparks.
Thanks, Maharaj. Somebody give a microphone to Malini, who's our co-Sankirtan leader. I'd like her to ask you for a very specific blessing.
For her specific?
No, I want her to ask you for a blessing.
A blessing?
Yeah, she'll ask you very specifically, I think.
Oh, she's already got it prepared.
I don't know what she has in her mind, but I think...
You got something going on, okay.
No, I don't have anything going on. Go ahead, Malini.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you so much for coming here. We would like to request you to bless us. Our goal...
See the raise?
Our goal this year for Bhadra Purnima...
How many?
...is to distribute at least 3,000 Srimad Bhagavatam.
At least 3,000. Everyone hear that? At least 3,000.
Yeah.
When does it start?
It started after Gaur Purnima.
Oh.
And it will end on 28th.
So how many so far as of today, since Gaur Purnima?
We are close to 1,000, Maharaj.
Really? You only have 7,000 more?
2,000.
2,000.
That's called fan the spark. Go on book distribution by yourself, traveling Sankirtan. Go ahead. Don't forget your sandwiches too. Okay?
Maharaj, we have also a goal to beat Pune as well. So
Well, I couldn't hear.
we want to beat Pune as well for the Bhadra Purnima in distribution of Srimad Bhagavatam sets. So we request your blessing for that as well, Maharaj.
Okay. I mean, sure.
Tell him the third goal, too, and ask for a blessing.
Maharaj, we have a third goal.
What's that?
Is to memorize the first canto, second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Oh, you're greedy. Two is enough. Now, does that mean everybody in the room is supposed to memorize? Everybody in the room?
Everybody in the room, forward and backwards, you have to do.
Really?
Yeah, please bless.
Sanskrit and English?
Yeah.
Both?
Well, you said 9,000 sets of Bhagavatam, so whatever you want to say now is okay.
It was 8, not 9.
Oh, 8. Okay, 8,000. Now it's 9, I guess.
Do I hear 10?
What do you think of the idea? Would Prabhupada approve?
Oh, I mean, beyond his expectation. It's the book distribution is very clearly given to us, and then this other memorization is like icing on top of the cake. But it's very special. Would he approve? Yes. Would he approve? Yes. My thoughts are going to my visit in China. I think I better stop here. So some things happened that were just like, ooh. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki? Gaur Premanandi Bo.
Now, before we adjourn, we have a couple of quick announcements to make, and I'd like Maharaj to hear them also.
Okay.
So first is from Bhakti Community. It's going to give a short status report. Who's doing it? Pavani Bhakti? Okay, Jai Madhava Prabhu, go ahead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, 30 seconds is up. And Malini, maybe we'll have Malini start. Malini will give the report for the book distribution Sankirtan for today.
Hare Krishna. Last weekend, we were in Los Angeles, where we went with His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu and Nirakula Mataji, who were cooking the entire feast for the Rath Yatra, the free feast. And we also had a service to distribute 8,000 books during the parade. And we are very happy to report that all the 8,000 books were distributed before the Rath Yatra ended.
Ooh.
And His Grace Mukaravinda Prabhu organized the entire book procurement, packing, and transportation, as well as the kids did a wonderful job in packing all the books. There's one story I would like to share, actually two stories. One is that when we went near the shops that we do every year, there was a bike shop, it was a bike rack. And when the Rath Yatra was passing through that, the owner was just outside trying to watch the parade. And then he was telling his customers, oh, the parade is going, and now the books will come. And as he was saying to that customer, I just ended up there with a pack of books. And he said, I was just telling my customer that the books will come. Give it to me. How many you want me to take? He usually, every year he takes the books and he keeps a stack of them. And after the parade, he passes them to his customers. So he was so happy to receive the pack of books. I thought everybody would like to know that. And the second one is the, if you know Bhumika Mataji, I don't know if she's here, but she's Namsmaran Prabhu's wife. She's generally at the background. She doesn't speak much. She's not very outspoken. But she came and told me a story that she was distributing books, the book packs, and she found one person and she gave them a book pack. And she said that, oh, I already have this book. Oh, maybe then I will give you a Bhagavad Gita. She said, I already have a Bhagavad Gita. And then she started speaking about Srimad Bhagavatam without a display copy, without a full set. She just started speaking about Bhagavatam to that person during the Rath Yatra while they were walking. And that person agreed to take the Bhagavatam. She took that person to the book table, and then she finished the transaction, and she came and reported that I distributed a full set of Bhagavatam. I was just so happy that the devotees here have that culture built in. Everybody is a book distributor. Everybody can distribute Srimad Bhagavatam sets. So please do join us today. We have multiple spots. We have Bhagavatam distribution in Cupertino, in Fremont, in the Tri-Valley area. And we also have book distribution for the Western audience. And Kautukarna Prabhu is going to give us a quick update about that. And Kautukarna Prabhu and his team also went on traveling Sankirtan last weekend. And he probably can share a story from there. Thank you, Kautukarna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you for the opportunity. So we went to LA for the Rath Yatra, there was also a festival. It was a Long Beach Pride Festival. So it was like any other music festival. So we went to the place where they give the wristbands, and we told them that we are vendors and we already have a booth inside. And he said, okay, but this time I'm letting you go in, but not next time. There's another entrance from the vendor's booth. So he let us go in, and we found a vendor booth which was empty, and we set up a table and distributed books. So as Maharaj says that we should always depend on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we were chanting, and that makes us, that kind of situation makes us more take shelter of Krishna, and then that's how we were able to distribute around 100 Bhagavad Gitas, the stacks, and 2 Srimad Bhagavatams, in 3 hours. So that was the story, and so the spots for today, we have San Jose Jazz Festival. So if anybody wants to go nearby for some time, Achyuta Chaitanya Prabhu, Manjari Gopika Mataji, Ananga Gopika Mataji, and Mukharvind Prabhu, and Tim Prabhu, they are all going there. If you like to join the fun, you can go there. Second team is going to Oakland, Laurel Street Festival. Jaikanai Prabhu, Nikunj Naik Prabhu, Shubham Prabhu, they are going if you want to join them. Third is San Francisco Pistahan Filipino Festival. So I'm going there and I'm happy. I'm going with Ramesh Prabhu and Arjit Prabhu. If you like to join SF, these are the spots. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have the Bhakti community announcements.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the opportunity. Bhakti community is a community of spiritual seekers focused on sharing Bhakti yoga to all the newcomers. So book distributors, they go and distribute books. Then they welcome the newcomers to Bhakti community, where we simplify and explain Bhakti systematically with them. So you can go to bhakticommunity.com/invite newcomers, and you can learn about how to invite newcomers to Bhakti community. So this week we had a couple of reflections from those newcomers who joined Bhakti community. I'll just read it here. First one is from a newcomer from San Francisco. I like the part about service due to duty, but even better than that is service due to love, because rather than following the rational mind, mindfulness, you follow your heart, heartfulness. I like the new word. So that was one reflection. And second is from a participant from Kansas who said, one thing that resonates right now in my life, this move and transition, is setting more my goals and priorities where I want to see myself. This is day 5 for me, no meat. I've been listing my priorities, doing my mantras every morning. I haven't been getting up free willing, but my spirit has been waking me up 4 a.m. every day, lol. But the 6 things he listed today, I'm already ahead of the homework. So he was happy. So thank you, Kautakarna Prabhu and Krishna Saka Prabhu, for encouraging these newcomers to come to Bhakti community and share this reflections. So this week we had 5 newcomers who were introduced, 2 by Kautakarna Prabhu, 1 by Tim Prabhu, Narsimha Nanda Prabhu, 1, and 1 person registered self. On Fridays, we had the Success Sadhana program, where we continue the 6-part Inner Harmony series, where we explain Bhagavad Gita in a simplified way. So this Friday, the topic was Overcoming Challenges and Inner Conflicts. And we had 63 corporate participants joining from all over the Bay Area and US who joined that program online. Next is the Bhakti On program we had on Monday, where we have the Secrets to Controlling Your Mind series going on. This week's topic was 15 practical tips to make your mind your friend. And we had 48 participants who joined the Bhakti On program on Monday. And on Thursday, we had the Bhakti Circle program, which is an 8-part series, which introduces Bhakti Yoga systematically. And this Thursday, the topic was Moods and Modes, which was the session number 5. And we had 15 participants who joined our Bhakti Circle program. And for Bhakti Circle, this week the leaders were Kautukarna Prabhu, Pavani Bhakti, and Yashoda Kripa Prabhu. Those were the leaders who conducted the sessions. And we also had the Mantra Zone event, which was conducted this week. I'm hoping it comes up. So it was led by Ekshakar Pran Prabhu, and we had 15 participants. So this is basically a kirtan event where we primarily do kirtan and share some wisdom. So thank you so much, Ekshakar Pran Prabhu, for having the next stop, the Mantra Zone program. So those were the updates from Bhakti community.
Marj, thank you very much for listening in. It means a lot to us to be able to show these to you. I have a personal announcement I'd like to make. It's about your disciple Jamuna, who's, as you probably know, she took over from Nirkula, the organizing of cooking the entire feast in Los Angeles. And she does it with such ease, grace, humility. It's actually getting better, faster, more efficient. And here at ISV, as you know well, but I'm just saying it for everybody in front of you, that she and her husband Todd started a Goshala, first class, and their whole intention is to serve the ISV community with maintaining cows, bringing ahimsa milk for the deities and for all the devotees and so forth. And I think if we measured who has consistently for the last 20 years come the farthest, that is distance-wise from where she lives to the temple on a regular basis, it would definitely be Jamuna. And nowadays, people over in Mountain House are vying for a second position, but she drives hours each way to come to the temple. She's so inspired by you and representing you so well here. We just wanted to thank her publicly and thank you publicly, Maharaj, for having such a nice disciple. Hare Krishna. Now our last part of the morning program is that we have a presentation under the care of Rasheshwari Leela of one of the youths from ISV, and they will now present. Marj, would you like to move back here to the gallery because you could see the whole thing? Right here next to me. Oh, do you have room up there, Rasheshwari Leela, or do you want Maharaj to move back?
Either way is fine. We can have Maharaj sit here if he likes, or there.
Okay, somebody move Maharaj over there.
You could come to sit. So Maharaj, there's a seat right
back there, sure.
It'll be easier for you to sit.
Whatever you want me to do.
Oh, no, Maharaj. It's our honor.
No. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Can I do it? Yeah, you can do it. Instrument of Srila Prabhupada. First of all, I want to just thank you so much, Maharaj and Vaisheshika Prabhu, to have two of Srila Prabhupada's pearls, gems, treasures sitting us in one room, along with Jagrini Mataji, Rakla Mataji, and I'm sure there are a lot of devotees online or in the temple. So thank you all for this opportunity. We have had almost 4 months the Kaishura youth present a short presentation on practical wisdom from Srimad Bhagavatam, and now we are going to restart our cycle. So we have finished the first round of all the students in the age group of 12 to 14, and we are going to now restart. Today is also the first day of our Saturday school. We also always have had Sunday school, and this is also the first day of our Saturday school. This weekend, the schools reopen, and we will have 150 students going to our school, the temple school, this weekend onwards. So with that, I'd just like to go over to the next part, which is Nitai. He will present the practical wisdom from Bhagavatam today.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. My name is Nitai. I am 13 years old. Today I'm going to present and answer the question, what does it mean to be an instrument in Krishna's plan? Oh. So first I'm going to talk about practicing to become Krishna's instrument. In the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the word instrument, nimitta matram, is most prominently mentioned in this verse. Tasmat tvamuttishta yasho labasva jitva shatrun bhungshva rajyam samriddham mayaivaite nihata purvameva nimitta matram bhavasavyasachin. Translation: Therefore get up, prepare to fight and win glory, conquer enemies, and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Savyasachi, can be but an instrument in the fight. So for context, right before the war was about to start, Arjuna was feeling compassionate for his relatives, and he was also very fearful of the consequences of the war. So Krishna told him to give up his weakness of art and fight rightfully and dutifully. Krishna basically reminded Arjuna of his true self, and he urged him to be an instrument in Krishna's hands. Arjuna did do his duty, and he did so in a very detached manner. But he was not too detached that he just was disconnected from Krishna's plan. Similarly, we should also be detached when going after materialistic pursuits, but we should still remain deeply connected in Krishna's plan. Therefore, recognizing oneself as an amsha, eternal fragmental part of Krishna, and acknowledging one's position as his servant, one should act as an instrument in Krishna's hands and attribute the credit of all of one's achievements to him. Next, I will talk about how one can be invincible yet still an instrument. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna calls Arjuna Parantapa. That means someone who defeats all his enemies. And throughout the book, he calls him other different names that refer to his renowned warrior status and great military achievements. But Krishna also emphasized that Arjuna should remember that he is an instrument of Krishna, and in this way, Krishna basically told Arjuna about his great warrior powers, and yet he still told him to be an instrument. Basically, what we can understand from this is that despite Arjuna's talents, power, and fame, his true reputation and glory lie in acting humbly as a servant in Krishna's hands. Next, I will give a few examples about how we can be empowered instruments in Krishna's hands. The first example is in the Damodar Leela. In the Damodar Leela, Krishna was bound by a rope to a wooden grinding mortar, and he pulled the mortar between two Yamalarjuna trees, causing them to uproot. Because of the stress on the mortar and the rope, one or both of them should have technically broken, but neither of them did. This event demonstrated Krishna's empowerment of the mortar and the rope. If Krishna can empower inanimate objects, then why can't he empower devotees that are willing to be his instrument? The next example is about Srila Shukadev Goswami. Shukadev Goswami spoke the Bhagavatam because he was empowered to by Lord Krishna. When Shukadev Goswami delivered these sublime teachings, which are the essence of the scriptures, his words were captivating and filled with deep compassion for those trapped in material existence. Even his guru, Srila Vyasadeva, and his Parama Guru, Narada Muni, were listening as if they heard it for the first time. In the disciplic succession, whether it is Lord Krishna, Lord Brahma, Narada Muni, Vyasadeva, Shukadev Goswami, or Sutta Goswami, or any other teacher, if one presents the knowledge as it is, then it is as if Krishna is speaking through them. Thus, the transcendental teachings of Krishna are transparently transmitted in the Guru Shishya Parampara. And from this, we can understand that when we maintain transparency, our words become imbued with the potency of Krishna's words, and we become his bona fide and empowered instruments. We can also understand that our devotional accomplishments and spiritual achievements can lead to pride if we lack the proper consciousness. Next, I will talk about powers that can be used in Krishna's service. So after the Kurukshetra war, Krishna had the desire to go to Dwaraka, and Queen Kunti approached him very concerned. She asked who's going to protect the Pandavas, her sons, which shows her exclusive reliance on Krishna and complete dependence. Eventually, when Krishna leaves this world, we can understand from Queen Kunti is that the quality of being adaptable to Krishna's will is an asset that a sincere devotee possesses. Eventually, once Krishna leaves this world, Arjuna says a verse. Arjuna Vacha Vanchitoham Maharaja Harina Bandhu Rupina Yena me Pahritam Tejo Deva Vismapanam Mahat. Translation: Arjuna said, O King, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, who treated me exactly like an intimate friend, has left me alone. Thus my astounding power, which astonished even the demigods, is no longer with me. From this verse, we can see that Krishna bestows power, and he is also the one that withdraws it. In the Kurukshetra war, Arjuna was able to astonish even the demigods. But after Krishna left, he wasn't even able to defeat some cowherd men. This point explains that Krishna bestows us with various possessions, talents, skills, resources, and even positions, so that we may use them in his service. However, when that service is finished, Krishna takes them away. Again, about powers to be used in Krishna's service. Later in the same chapter of that same verse, Arjuna says, Tadvai dhanumsta ishava sarato hayaste soham rati nirpatayo yata anumanti sarvam kshanena tadabhuda sadisha raktam bhasman hatam kuhaka radham ivoptam asyam. Translation: I have the very same Gandiva bow, the same arrows, the same chariot, drawn by the same horses, and I use them as the same Arjuna to whom all the kings offered their due respects. But in the absence of Lord Krishna, all of them at a moment's notice have become null and void. It is exactly like offering clarified butter on ashes, accumulating money with a magic wand, or sowing seeds on barren land. Just as how offering clarified butter on ashes, accumulating money with a magic wand, or sowing seeds on barren land are completely useless, similarly our position and possessions are useless if we do not use them in Krishna's service. From this, we can understand 2 points. The first one is that we should not become attached to our positions, possessions, or powers. Instead, we should develop attachment to the principle of rendering service to Krishna with whatever we possess. And the second point is that whatever we have is meant to be utilized in Krishna's service, and if that purpose is absent, all our possessions and positions are futile. Next, I would like to talk about that there are multiple doers of every activity. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that there are 3 types of doers. The first is the jiva, the one that desires to perform an activity. The second is the Supreme Lord, the one who sanctions the activity. And the third is Prakriti, material nature, that facilitates that activity. The accomplishment of any tasks involves these 3 entities. So consider an example. When someone dresses the deities and receives praise from other devotees, it is important to understand the background. Krishna is primarily beautiful because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Another reason is that the sculptor who carved the deities did so in a very intricate manner. Furthermore, the devotees welcomed Krishna with utmost love and desire to worship him, and this altogether creates a beautiful system of worship. From this explains that whatever abilities and opportunities we get to render service are gifts from the divine, and the credit ultimately goes to the Supreme Lord Krishna. Finally, I would like to talk about understanding our position. Sometimes we see a person who is cruel and demoniac and engaging in sinful activities. Does it mean that they're in Krishna's plan? Are they instruments? Well, and it is said that one may argue that not even a blade of grass moves without Krishna's sanction. And thus, this is all evil and Krishna's fault. Well, technically, and this is all Krishna's fault. This is all Krishna's fault. Therefore, and Krishna is the cause of all this evil. But this is not correct. Krishna doesn't want any evil. We can understand this with an example. So when we wake up in the morning and the sun rises from the east, if we stand toward the sun, we will experience bright light. But if we face our back toward the sun, we will see the shadow and darkness. Without the sun, there would be no shadow, so the sun is the cause of both the shadow and the darkness. Similarly, the Lord is considered the creator of both good and bad in the sense of how we utilize our independence. By aligning our intelligence with virtuous principles and the teachings of the Lord, we experience positive outcomes. On the other hand, when we misuse our independence and act against those teachings, we witness the manifestation of negative outcomes. To conclude this presentation, I would like to quote directly from the book that I based this presentation off of. It is important to understand that all of us are parts and parcels of Krishna, the supreme doer, and by acting as instruments in the hands of Krishna, we shall not only find our own fulfillment, but also bring immense joy to the heart of Krishna himself. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I wondered if you collaborated with His Holiness Romapada Maharaj. Seemed to take up in the same subject. I remember when you were a toddler and your father would bring you to our house and we couldn't get you to say anything. But now you're so articulate. What to speak of standing high like a giant. And it's just amazing to watch you develop all these skills that you use in Krishna service, your mridanga playing, which is immaculate, harmonium, singing, and now speaking. So you're becoming an all-arounder. I felt that your presentation was really well thought out. It had multiple ideas and facets that all fit together. It was nicely woven. And your delivery was pretty strong. Obviously, we can all work on delivery, but I think that the way you held forth, the way you held yourself in general and presented the material had a really solid impact. Thank you for all you put into it and for the way you're leaning into your Krishna consciousness and becoming an emerging leader in the Krishna consciousness movement. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions?
Hare Krishna, Nitai Prabhu, very nice presentation. You are very confident, which I really liked. So regarding your topic, just had a question like, how do you know or understand when you're doing something that you're doing it according to Krishna's plan, or you are becoming his instrument?
Well, we have our own free will, and it is our choice whether we can use that free will, like with the virtues and the values that we have in the scriptures, or we can misuse it with sinful activities. If we misuse it with sinful activities, that's not Krishna's plan. But if we use it follow the scriptures, then we will be in Krishna's service, and then he can use us as an instrument.
Thank you. Just a follow-up on that. So in Bhagavad Gita, we see that Krishna asks Arjuna to kill his relatives, right? And then Arjuna shows various scriptural evidences how it's sinful and he should have refrained from it. So then, what about that? I mean,
Arjuna was kind of resisting fighting, but Krishna did convince him with the whole Bhagavad Gita. And in that sense, eventually after Krishna said the Bhagavad Gita, he did become an instrument because Arjuna was willing to be in the service of Krishna because that was Krishna's instructions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Risheshwari Leela, for organizing these talks. Thank you very much, Nitai, for delivering a humdinger, amazing talk. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
One more round of applause. Come on. Give it up. A little more. Thank you. So we've all had a royal feast this morning, being able to sit and hear from Maharaj. Thank you again, Maharaj, for coming here. We'll be counting the days. Move to the edge of your seat, everybody. We'll be at the edges of our seats, waiting for you to come back next time. And now we have prasadam for everybody in the whole county. Sharira Vijaja Jodendriya Taheka Jibe Pele Vishaya Shagare Tarma Jedivayati Loba Moisu Durmati Take Jeta Katita Shangshaye Krishna Bodha Doya Moy Kori Bade Jihwajai Shra Prasha Anna Dilobaha Shayanamrita Pao Radha Krishna Guragao Premedako Shri Chaitanya Dita Premedako Shri Chaitanya Dita Mahapusare Govinde Nama Brahmadi Vaishnave Sapa Punya Katandrajan Vishwase Nagajayate Prasade Sarva Dukana Maniyatyo Pujayate Prasana Cheta Sojashu Pujipaya Pujishtate Tayopa Bhutta Suganda Vasulankar Jaichikaha Pujishta Bojina Dasa Bhagavat Shri Mahaprasad Ki Gaur Premanande Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Please come take prasadam. Prasadam will be served in the picnic area. Go right out the door, take a sharp right. Vanchakoptarusha Kripasindamevacha Patitanam Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.